right. Hello and welcome to Audio Eds. We are geeks assembled again, and it's Lee and I were discussing a quite delightful piece of audio. Another Jago and Litefoot as steampunk as you please. This is Jago and Litefoot's 9th outing. It's a box set of 4 separate stories, and it's about it's basically around the world in 80 days with the boys from the center of London anyway, and I'm just wondering what the general consensus is about this fabulous piece. And since Lee is here, hi Lee, how would you begin this podcast about these 4 stories, Jago and Litefoot, etc., etc., etc.?
This box set is, Jago and Litefoot, Series 9, or otherwise known as Carry On Cruising.
I recognize that reference.
Yeah, because yes, these 2 likely lads go on a holiday on a cruise. Because each story is all about something what happens on the boat. Is it a boat or is it a ship on a cruise? It's a ship.
It's a ship.
Yes.
Quite lively.
So it's 4 different stories, but also all sort of contained on the ship or off the ship when they get to port. An enjoyable box set, this one. They're taken out of their comfort zone of the London streets, and there's still some supernatural, paranormal stuff happening. While they're on board with all these other passengers who get involved in the stories, in the adventures. It's down to them to investigate what's going on while still having a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a good box set, this one. I would say out of the 4 stories, there is only one what sort of disappoints. Not as good as the other 3, but that's usually the case in any box set. You always get one what's a little slightly not as good as the others, but still listenable and enjoyable.
So the ship is called the Fata Morgana, but it's also referred to, I think, as the Flying Frenchmen, which is really weird because I don't think that Fata Morgana really means a Flying Frenchman, but it is a French ship, and there is some strange comings and goings to do with France. And so that's an interesting sort of a bit of a reality, and they go. It seems that they're traveling south and then either into Africa or around Africa, and I don't know if they go into the Mediterranean or if they go they continue on around the Cape of Good Hope and Cape Town and stuff like that, and then they go into the Indian Ocean and stuff. Whichever. I mean, like they're on a fantastic cruise, and I mean, just amazing where they all get to. they haven't built the Suez Canal, so that I doubt they go that way into the east in the 1800s yet. But it's really interesting. You know, these four stories are all. It kind of feels like they're talking about the Bermuda Triangle, but they don't start from the West Indies or the British Virgin Islands or anything. So it's, and they don't start from, you know, Florida or anything. So it's just interesting. That stuff that they encounter is, I mean, some of it's pretty deadly and some of it's pretty intense, and then they get off, and the minute they're off the ship, they're again embroiled in something. So it's just fantastic fun. It is very Indiana Jones. It is very steampunk in the fact that it's so much action and so much fun stuff to do with, like, the steamship. It does seem like a steamship because the engine, anyway. And it's again directed by Lisa Bowerman and Christopher Benjamin and Trevor Baxter. High praise for me. And the captain is played by David Charles, and Miranda Raisin's in it. Dan Starkey's in it. He's a really fun comedic actor, and I mean, they just tap him for all these great audios. He is really great, and Lisa Bowerman's husband, the late great David Warner's in this, and so that's great. And he plays a baddie. Usually he plays baddies that have like a good side to them, and but this one's just, it's because he's so good at complexity. Oh my gosh. Or he was so good at complexity. I mean, I'm just thinking about like him playing the Klingon High Chancellor. That was a good role for him. Anyway, he's done some amazing stuff in his career. And yeah. So what are your favorite moments, Lee?
Well, let's go story to story, shall we?
Sure, that's a good idea.
Well, the first story is when they board the ship. These the Flying Frenchmen by Jonathan Morris. To me, this is where they enter the mist, the fog, or whatever on the ocean, and everything starts to go a bit strange. Another
Bermuda
ship
Triangle. Bermuda Triangle. That's what it get.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near the Bermuda Triangle. That's the.
I know, but it feels like that.
Where another ship appears, and it's the same ship, but it's been at sea for years and years and years, and it's decaying. And then other ships appear, and it's the same ship, but with French versions of the passengers, and then there's Italian version turns up. To me, this had the feel of Sapphire and Steel.
Mm-hmm.
Very Sapphire and Steel. That's good. Time gone awry, and great. And then you get the French versions of Jago Litefoot sort of hiding themselves on the English version ship, and this is where it all goes to pot. Maybe this is why it's called the Flying Frenchmen.
Yeah.
They had things were going around there. It's a great story. with twists and turns, and the characters in this as well, just the passengers. You've mentioned some of the actors, but one of my favourite characters is Lady Isabella Danvers.
Uh-huh.
She's a bit of a man eater.
Uh-huh.
She's playing Jago and Lightfoot off each other, but they don't
Uh-huh.
want anything. They don't want anything to do. They're both frightened of her.
Uh-huh.
She's a bit of a man eater, and I quite like that. That's a great character, and she comes into a fore in another story, which is the way they adapt that character. Yeah, so yeah, I enjoyed that story. Then we go to the second story. Where are we? Second story. When they finally arrive out the mist to Monte Carlo, which is in the Mediterranean. In the second story is The Devil's Dicemen by Justin Richards. So if you go to Monte Carlo, it's you got to go to a casino.
Apparently.
Apparently, and this is bit of a supernatural thing. Sell your soul to the devil if you want to be, the richest person ever by winning these games. And then, but it all turns out it's all a con. This is where we meet Dr. Luke Betterman, played by David Warner.
Betterman, yeah.
And the great scene is where Lightfoot and Letterman both Betterman think each other's the bad guy, and they accuse each other, and both of them aren't the bad guy. They're both the good guys. There's someone else pulling the strings. You get Dan Starkey as Tibbs, who turns out to be what a pathetic cultist. And he's the only member of the cult.
The only one.
The only one. As you said, this one's got a bit of
humor.
As you mentioned, Indiana Jones. This one and the next story as well is sort of Indiana Jones feel, but great acting, great humor in that one. Then we go to the third story, written by Simon Barnard and Paul Morris, Island of Death, where we found Jago Lightfoot and Lady Isabella go ashore to on this island where the ship has anchored, and
it supposedly has some historical or cultural significance, and so they take off sort of as Jago is a bit scientific even. I mean, like, yeah, of course, Professor Lightfoot is, but Jago is too. That's cool.
I mean, this it's got creatures, and also you've got Lady Danvers being possessed or channeling some ancient crab-like woman, which I thought great characterization. You picture this lady all like pomp and this, and then all of a sudden she starts doing all these other things. The bump into these French people, these what's the French on the island?
I don't know.
Can't remember, but they were already on the island, and it's sort of a tale of survival.
What's it called? Lost?
Yeah, it had a sort of a theme of Lost as well. But that was Island of Death. And then you come to the last story, Return of the Nightmare by Justin Richards. This one, for me, was the weakest of the four. Good story, but I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. There was something missing. there's a murderer on the loose on the ship this time. You know, they're trying to figure out, to solve it. But the fog comes back, of course.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then we end up back in London, partway through the story as well.
Yeah.
Um, this beast or this nightmare is attracted to a certain person or people of the crew. Yeah, this one. And we got Ellie back again because she was at the beginning of the thing, and Ellie's back in this story as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one just sort of fell flat for me. The last, which is surprising because the first three stories were so high
Yeah.
quality. I mean, I'm not saying this isn't bad quality story. It's just something wasn't right about it for me. It just didn't for the concluding part of the box set.
Right.
I'd expected something more. It just didn't deliver for
Well,
me.
it was the last story was really pretty simple and pretty.
Yeah, that was it.
I
It was
mean,
just
it was cut and dry, and it was, you know, there was a little danger with the fog. There was a little danger with like the characters and stuff and the murder and stuff. Only to find out that it's like the you know the situation was dealt with by Jago and Lightfoot. Like they'd already taken care of it. So
yeah.
there wasn't a lot of you know this led to this and this led there wasn't a lot of causation. It was just like this happened and they'd already solved it back here, so this happened, but they'd already solved it back there. So it was just like telling a story.
Yeah, I think that was the
Okay.
problem. I think that was the problem for me. There was some three great stories, what interwoven storytelling, and excitement, and you get to the fourth one, and you hit the nail on the head there with what you said. It was a safe story. It was no peril or anything like that. It was everything was solved beforehand.
Yeah, but you get to hear from Madame Dubalik, and you got some of the you know the what ifs get solved, and
Yeah,
that was a thing that was really challenging about the what if not the Unbound universe, but the what if story in Marvel. Because of the parallel universes. I mean, this is really a story of lots of parallel universes that kind of collapse in on one another in the fog. And
I mean, don't
yeah,
get me
go
wrong.
ahead.
Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the box set, but I just felt a little bit let down by the last story.
Mm-hmm.
Still an enjoyable listen, but compared to the three stories beforehand, which was amazing,
Yeah,
it
really.
really pulled you in. And then sort of last story was a bit meh.
Meh.
Sorry.
It's all right. You've given Justin Richard praise for other things in these things, but I just think that that because the other authors and the other stories had already solved all the issues. They just had to tie up the ends, and that's all they were doing in this was just tying up the ends. And yeah, it just made it a very simple story, but I can see where someone who is like, oh, this is going to be awesome, because they have at times been so awesome at the end See, you're just used to them
Because you were
building,
going
building,
building and building and building and building,
and then stopping and then leaving things on a cliffhanger. I know that's I can see
and to
your
me, the cliffhanger of the last story was, oh, someone wants to write our life story adventures. That's not a
no
cliffhanger. That's not a
no
cliffhanger.
that's just like a
That's setting up the next box set.
yeah. But it isn't. You're right. It isn't a cliffhanger. But I I know why. I kind of know why they did it, because they just felt like they hadn't resolved anything in a really long time, and this they kind of had to, and yeah, but the thing that I liked about the fourth story and this, like, what's it called, the Return of the Nightmare, was it was kind of like spooky, and it was a little funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And you got a lot of those moments of whoa, like with Lightfoot going, what do you think, Mr. Jago? And Jago going, oh, cork, so lummy. And like, it's just classic. And we're used to those characters so much, but I mean, I think that if we had never heard them before this 4-part box set, that would be really heartwarming and kind of fun and stuff. So I mean, I just, but we haven't listened to every single other story, and anyway, I that's what I think. Let's see. My favorite bits were the multiple ships that show up on the horizon. The fact that they're all the same ship. The fact that was that was really something, watching Jago solve the issue on the island of or I'm sorry, in the not on the Monte Carlo, in the poker game, of that being just theater. That was super fun, because he here was something that looked like a long con, and Jago had the right skill set, and it was I'll quote Liam Neeson. He had a particular set of skills, and yeah, so he was able to parse out what was actually happening, and so that was fun. And the creatures, that was really like that was great, like science fiction stuff. That was really fun. And the the doctor and stuff, um and um yeah, I just think I just really love the the combination of Jago and Lightfoot. They are class in that they have so much there's so much chemistry, and there's so much delightfulness. I just delight in listening to them coming to conclusions together, trying to resolve uh resolve like almost political things. And I mean, the whole thing with France winning Waterloo, I mean, Napoleon, all the Napoleon. I just thought that's a big what if, and then the 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 king of Italy winning all of that. I was just like beating the Spanish main. And I mean, but they didn't show the Spain winning because I don't know. I don't know why they didn't include Spain, but Spain would have been also really, and maybe even Portugal. But anyway, like these were my thoughts. And wouldn't it be great if they showed like an independent Ireland? These are all of my or an independent Scotland. These are my thoughts anyway. But they may have been out there in the mist, who knows? Like this is just my thoughts, and it was, it was very sapphire and steel. That's really astute, and I enjoyed like I that I think was my favorite episode in this 4-part set is I enjoyed the one on the ship with the wake porn and the fleet of Fata Morgana, and the fact that the ship is named Fata Morgana. I mean, named after like Morgan Fay. I mean, for crying out loud, that is so Arthurian. I almost want to say neat. Anyway, I just these are great things. These are such great stories. Anyway, let me ask Lee for anything further. What would you like to add at this point?
Well, as I say, I can't fault any of the acting. The acting in this is superb. I mean, on the second story, the Devil's Dicemen, in the dark casino, where you get this I'm sure it was French speaking croupier, and then all of a sudden she she turns out she's Cockney or whatever it is. She's
Yeah.
it's all a con. The way she just transcends through that to the it's a great acting, and that with where Jago, as you've mentioned, realised it was all theatre.
Oh God.
He wasn't worried at all. But yeah, great box set, enjoyable listen. Very spooky in places and drags you in. And that's what a good audio should do. It should pull you in. So yeah, that's all I can say on this one, Susan.
Okay. What's your final scene score?
Well, as always, Big Finish delivers. I mean, this was from what, 2015?
Yeah.
So a few years ago now. It's a Big Finish
About
delivers.
when we were starting to do these podcasts.
Yeah.
Or a little later.
And Trevor Baxter, a great double act. In these audios.
So good.
Just because of that slight meh for the last story. Yeah. I'm going to give it 9 lucky dice out of 10. Just that slight, for me anyway, a little bit of a letdown for the last story, but still listenable.
Yeah. All right. Well, I disagree. I think it was a 10. I think that the last final story just sewed it up. That's what they were doing. I know that you really love it when it ends super high and on a bang and stuff. I know I know that was what you liked about the other audio adventures that we've listened to, is that when things end in sort of a chaotic moment and things are kind of left up in the air, that's your jam. And I appreciate that. But like I don't mind that they sew things up. And uh yeah, I would always just kind of like be a little leery of jumping on a ship that's named after Morgan Fay. And I would also, if you're on a ship with Jago and Lightfoot, you know, I would I would assume something supernatural is going to happen. I would just lay it out there. Just leave that wide open in your assumption drawer, because that's what's going to happen. And I would persist with them because they are fantastic. They are so good. And there we have 10, 11, and 12, 13, and 14 to go. So there's 5 more box sets to go, I think.
And the special release.
And the special, yeah. But that's so few. Oh my gosh, that's just not enough. But I just hope that Christopher is gonna do something more coming up. I don't.
I know. I get the Vortex magazine from Big Finish.
Oh, you do. That's right. Go on.
People have asked a few times, are there any plans for Jago to be more active with the Post and Ostra gang? And Briggs doesn't say yes, and he doesn't say no.
Oh, okay. So, fingers crossed.
Christopher Benjamin has retired.
I heard.
Because he's in his 80s now.
I know. That's true.
But he does still. This is the only thing I think he does now, is these audios. Comes back every so often and does one or two.
Smart fellow.
Well, yeah, comfortable, isn't it? You just sit down and get in front of the microphone. That's it. There's no running up and down corridors or
no costume changes.
No. So you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Jago may be back. You never know.
It would be fun if he would find somebody to snog. Because he's he goes through this and there's years of living only in the partnership of him and
I mean, there could have been. I know they didn't want to carry on Jago and Lightfoot without Trevor Baxter,
right?
But there could have been opportunities for Jago to work alongside Dr. Betterman, David Warner, because he does reappear in another box set later on. So Jago and Betterman would have been a good spin-off series, but of course Mr. Warner passed away as well, so
I know
we're losing all these greats.
That's so. I mean, yeah.
What can we do?
I know. Sad. Anyway, thank you for watching our fun podcast. We are Geeks Assemble. We would invite you to join us if you'd like to listen to these things. Please do. And just listen to them on your own. If you don't want to hang out with us, it would just take a little weirder person to hang out with us. So I understand. But if you'd like to, let Lee know. And all you got to be is 18, have a camera, microphone, and a device, and Zoom, and show up on Sunday at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and show up a little bit ahead of time to know what we're doing that week, and we'd be happy to have you. Yeah. And as an audio aficionado, we don't just listen to Big Finish, but Big Finish is so good at doing these that it is really difficult for us to encounter fan fiction or other producers that do as quality work as Big Finish. We
do know Bafflegab do great.
Bafflegab does, and
so does the BBC Radio.
So does BBC Radio, but BBC Radio often has trouble with too much narration.
But also they do a lot of drama as well. So
yeah, so
the only downfalls we've found in these things is the fan made audios, which I've got a long way to go.
Yeah, that's true. Anyhow, from us here, we just like to say thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification. And I'm just gonna keep hitting it by the microphones, and Lee can't hear it, and I guess that's just I'm just banging it something. Anyway, and yeah, I guess that's it. Lumley, Cox. Oh, Cox.
Cox.